Welcome to the ETP webinar series. So this is, I think, the 4th or 5th of the webinar series. So kickstart your low carbon innovation journey into the energy systems sector. And this is a double billing with Energy Systems Catapult and ETP. And we'll give an overview of us in a moment. This is just a few sort of housekeeping items. So if you have joined with a number or something else rather than your full name, can you please just change your name in the function? My colleague Jennifer will be explaining what you need to do in the chat function. So look at that, please, and please change your name so that we can see that. And when we look back on the chat, we'll know who's asked what questions and we can get back to people. I'll also make sure you're muted. If you've got a question, raise your hand, but also put it in the chat. And Jim and my colleagues will be looking at the chat as we go through. We're happy to take sort of clarification questions at the end of each brief set presentation part. And we'll have quite a lot of time for discussion towards the end, because this is quite a consultation process that we're undertaking today. So please ask lots of questions, and if we don't cover them in the seminar webinar today, we will get back to people. So please make sure we know who's asked what and change your name. You should be muted, and when you ask a question at the end in the discussion part, we then can unmute you to ask a question live, or you can just leave it in the chat if you wish. Okay, so I think we've got a few participants with us just now. So I'm just going to start doing the basics just now. There's quite a few slides for you to have as a record, but I'll skip through them. I just want you to have the information there, but we won't be dwelling on all of the slides here. So here's the agenda for today. We'll be covering the Scottish Government Local Energy Policy Statement, which has just been published, an introduction to the ETP support and funding, and also the Energy Systems Catapult support and services. So myself as the ETP Business Development Manager for Energy Systems, and also the Energy Systems Catapult of Scotland arm, as I'm part sponsored by the Energy Systems Catapult. I'm also the interim lesson collaboration coordinator, which we'll discuss a little bit further down in the agenda. So after the overviews, we'll have a clarification questions and a bit more of a discussion then. And then we'll go into the lesson, why, who, why, and what. So lesson is the Local Energy Systems Scottish Industry Network, which is new. And it's for everybody who's got any relevance to local energy systems or energy within an energy system. So we'll be giving an overview of that, and then we're going to be asking how are we going to work together to develop this network, and give some information about the kinds of ways in which we will be setting up a framework for collaboration within this network. And so there'll be a launch platform, which Jim will be explaining, and we'll be undertaking a series or a program of events and activities under different themes. So we also want to discuss what kind of themes might be useful to people. So at the end of the sort of presentation sessions, we will be discussing and getting your opinions and asking you questions to try and get a feel for how we can best approach the local energy systems network development over the next couple of years. So for the participants who just come in through, please make sure you've got your names on the login, and we're just going to start the sessions properly. So I wanted to start with the Scottish Government Local Energy Policy Statement, which has just been published. It's a long-awaited policy statement that was in consultation the last couple of years, and it was published on 6th of January. So this sort of sets a stronger framework for how we move forward in Scotland on local energy systems. So I just want you to give you an idea about this. So Paul Walehouse, the MSP Minister for Energy Connectivity in the Islands, he describes this as a shift towards more localized energy solutions as a vital part of our journey to a net zero future, with local energy developing alongside and within a vibrant national energy network. So this vibrant national energy network, this is what we're hoping to be setting up, the Local Energy Systems Scottish Industry Network, but it's not just for industry, it's for all the organisations who are relevant to local energy systems and how we all work together and support each other. I'm not going to go into the whole policy statement, and I couldn't really copy and paste the lovely infographics they have in the document. So I'm just giving an overview here of the 10 key principles. So there's key themes: people, places, network, and infrastructure, and pathway to commercialization and opportunities here. So I'm not going to read through all of these, but I want to highlight them because I think it's important that you understand that the different aspects of local energy systems and the different interlinked, I suppose, streams of activity and collaboration that need to happen in order to develop a local energy system. So I'm just going to give you an overview of ETP, but before I do that, I just want to check that everybody knows how to raise their hand if they have a question. So if you haven't found out where to do that, can you just have a go of that just now? If you can all raise your hands, and we'll see if we can see that. I see a few hands going up. So just double check that. If you're not sure, just ask in the chat and one of my colleagues will help orient you to where it is. That's lovely. Lots of hands going up. That's brilliant. Thank you, everyone. So then you can also lower your hand by clicking on the raise your hand part. Okay, so if you lower your hands again, that would be lovely, unless you have a genuine question before I even start. So ETP is, oh, for some reason that's not coming up. My screen has stuck. I'm sorry, everybody. Oh, here we go. So ETP is an alliance of 13 Scottish higher education institutions which are engaged in world-class energy-related R&D with world-class facilities. So ETP basically represents all of the expertise in energy and all the facilities relating to energy in all of these universities across Scotland. So we're sort of like a portal or an engagement network for these universities and energy and between the universities for all the academics and for anyone wanting to engage with the university from outside of the university environment. So the themes are all the themes that you can think of, but add on their transport, because we're also dealing with transport, and we have a new theme coming up and some new funding for transport as well. So some of these energy themes have business development managers attached to them. My colleagues and I relate to 7 priority themes, which I'll get onto in a moment, but the overarching themes are here on the screen, just here, and the one that energy systems falls into is the energy policy, people and society. So we think about different scales of local levels in terms of energy systems. So, and everybody within the energy, within a region or a sub-region is part of an energy system and has a role to play. ETP connects up with all of the organizations that support innovation and R&D, so innovation centers, other funding bodies, catapults, etc. So this is sort of a map of some of the connectivity, but it goes beyond this, and this is linked up with all of our different energy themes. Within ETP, there are programs, so it's not just a research, it's not just a Scottish Funding Council research pool or connection of all the universities in terms of an academic set, but they're also funded industry doctorate programs and postgraduate early career researcher exchanges, but also within that is Scottish Enterprise and Highlands and Islands Enterprise funded knowledge exchange network. So this is the team of business development managers I mentioned before, and we cover low carbon sector and foster and manage collaboration between industry and academia. So knowledge exchange network, or KEN as we affectionately call him, it supports the Scottish Government in meeting its targets for the energy sector and increases the innovation capacity of SMEs in low carbon and improves industry access to academic capability. So the mission and aims are to support innovation and harness expertise and assist energy transition to create economic impact for Scotland. So we have some funding for small knowledge exchange projects. They're free to Scottish SMEs and provides funding for academic time or travel and consumables, and access to resources and facilities, and also we try and support access to further funding. So ETP might provide a sort of a starter fund, but where do you go from there? And ETP is sort of like a hand-holding organisation to help organisations along the innovation and funding landscape. So the business development managers cover these universities that are put on here. So we've got energy conversion and storage, energy distribution and infrastructure, energy efficiency and buildings, marine energy, heat energy, energy systems, and wind energy. And for Aberdeen University, we have a new strategic theme coordinator for transport, sustainable transport, and there's some funding for that as well. So we pretty much cover everything. We're not sure where it'll fit. It probably fit within energy systems category because that's quite a broad category. So some of these posts are shared with other partners. So I'm shared with the Energy Systems Catapult. The heat theme is shared with the Consortium Scotland Innovation Centre. The wind theme is shared with the Offshore Renewable Energy Catapult, and the marine energy business development manager is shared with the Wave Energy Scotland. So these are the partners here, and you can add to that Transport Scotland is providing some funding for the transport theme. And we also have European funding as well to help us. So this is the innovation landscape that I mentioned. So ETP tries to help in terms of innovation of funding, brokerage and support for other funding streams, and we collaborate with all the funding providers to help that process along. And you'll see ETP's consultancy fund is down at sort of lower TRL levels, but it could be a higher TRL level that you have and you want to diversify or change a product or process or service slightly. And if it's a low carbon innovation project, then we should be able to help and support in some way, whether we provide funding or other support. So I mentioned the innovation journey. ETP's down here around the bottom, and we try and help you move up along to greater levels of R&D and commercialization and internationalization potentially. So here are some contact details here. But just for now, just let me know if you have any clarification questions on ETP as a whole. And if you don't, we'll go on to Jim Lott, who will be providing an overview of Energy Systems Catapult.
Excellent. Hello. Have you got the slides up there, Natasha?
Yeah, I just want to check if there are any questions first. Any clarification questions? Raise your hand if you. I think not. So I'm just sharing the next slides. 1 second. Can everybody see the slides? Jim, can you see them?
I can see them, yes. Can you move on to the next slide?
So Jim Lott, just to introduce you, Jim Lott is the Energy Revolution Integration Service Technical Liaison Lead for Energy Systems Catapult. He's going to provide an overview of the Energy Systems Catapult support.
Afternoon all. Welcome to this session, which I think is going to focus around some of the lesson work that we're combining with ETP to deliver. For those of you who don't know what a catapult is, well, first of all, my name's Jim Lott, as I've been introduced. I am the Energy Revolution Integration Service Technical Lead. I'll have a little slide about that in a minute, very briefly. Some of you will have heard of us. So I represent the Energy Systems Catapult. Some of you will have heard of us. I believe some, within Scotland, you've got the obviously OREC, you've got the Offshore Renewables Energy Catapult. So as a group, we're probably quite familiar with what catapults are. The Energy Systems Catapult, we have about 200 experts. In the same way as catapults, we're not for profit. We're part supported by government, but we also do commercial work. And our role is to bridge the gap between stakeholders in the sector. So the academia, the investment and the government funding, and the people delivering projects in the energy system sector. We have a number of capabilities available to do that, both of which both practical and sort of theoretical. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Oh, sorry, it's not going down. 1 second. I'm trying.
Oh, technology is beautiful.
Oh,
So when the slide gets there, I'll talk to you a little bit about the Energy Revolution Integration Services. So the Energy Revolution Integration Service is a program that was part of the PIFA program, Prospering from the Energy Revolution program, and we're working alongside the concept designs, the detailed designs, and the demonstrators. One of which is in your fair island of Orkney under the Reflex project. Alongside them to look for opportunities to share commonalities, to evaluate the outcomes of those, and to create a sort of framework to allow local areas to plan for local energy systems. We're currently in the process of building a toolkit for local authorities that allows them to sort of ask the right questions about what they mean by local energy system projects and how to create portfolios energy systems projects that are more effective than they may be in their own right, given it's a very complex and ever-moving area. Business cases can often be difficult, partly because of risk, or maybe just because of the environment in which they're trying to happen. So really, we exist to learn from the PIFA program and to give these opportunities to scale and replicate smart local energy systems, all with a pathway to net zero, obviously, as all of these things are heading towards. Next slide, please. As part of the catapult, we have a thing called the Energy Launchpad, which is aimed really at SMEs, but is essentially a journey through developing products, solutions, and business models that are relevant to the energy system and the energy system transition. I'm putting this up purely for just for reference for you guys. If you take the slide pack away, and we have a number of tiers, and we do those tiers through. We have open to everybody tier. We then do challenge calls, and from those challenge calls, we provide sort of more bespoke support using our capabilities. The reason I bring this up is because when we get into Lesson, we're using some of the functionality that we already use as part of the Energy Launchpad to deliver support to SMEs within Lesson itself. So there will be opportunity for SMEs within the Lesson network to engage that support. Next slide, please. So this slide, just telling you a little bit of the kind of support we've done through the Launchpad. We have done, I believe, 3 calls up to now. We've done a digital pilot. We did a smart heating and cooling call, and a digital platform call. We've currently got a smart buildings, and then low carbon international solutions call is coming up. And you can see from the slide, the graph on the left-hand side there, that business innovation and consumer insights are kind of the primary areas that we get asked to support, because we go off who goes to the calls and where we can supply support. We obviously know within the local energy space, business model innovation is really key, because a lot of technology already exists, a lot of the communities may already exist, but really what we haven't got is a coherent set of business models that can all fit together to deliver scalable local energy systems. So that business model innovation is something we spend a lot of time and effort working with SMEs and the wider stakeholders to try and understand what that landscape can be, and try and accelerate people on that journey towards opportunity and selling solutions wider. So next slide, please. So that was my catapult piece. That's sort of the reason I'm here. Now, the reason that we're all here, as far as I'm concerned today, is to talk about Lesson, which is the Local Energy Systems Scottish Industry Network. Next slide, please. Oh, you're going to talk.
So this is me, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So thank you.
Shut up for a moment.
So Jim will be back. Don't you worry. We won't be gone for long. So I'm just going to give you an overview of the Local Energy Systems Scottish Industry Network. And oh, here we go. It's not moving again. Here we go, that's better. So the Local Energy Systems Scottish Industry Network, I'd like to mention our funders, obviously, because this is funded through public funding, Scottish Enterprise, Highlands and Islands Enterprise, and also some funding from European Union and Scottish Government, through the Scottish Government. So there's been a consultation on developing an industry network for local energy systems. There was already a network of wider representative stakeholders, so the sort of higher tier organizations, the public sector, academia and industry representative bodies and larger industry. But there was a strong need for a general industry network, and some funding was found, fortunately. And although everything has been delayed because of the unmentionable, we have finally started the local energy systems Scottish industry network. Energy Systems Catapult is leading, and Energy Technology Partnership is supporting that. So the vision is helping local energy systems sector flourish through mutual support and collaboration in Scotland. So the Energy Systems Catapult is leading the development of the lesson, the network, in collaboration with ETP, and on behalf of Scottish Enterprise and Highlands and Islands Enterprise. There is a South of Scotland Enterprise. We are covering the whole of Scotland. It's just because the South of Scotland Enterprise is a new enterprise. Scottish Enterprise will be covering for this area as well. So the Sprite funding from ERDF is quite a significant amount of this contributions from Scottish Enterprise and Highlands Enterprise make up the difference. Give me 1 second. Can you go to the bedroom, please, my darling? Excuse me, because my daughter's just finished lunch and she's going to move to the bedroom, and then we'll have a little bit of peace and quiet. So Energy Systems Catapult and the Energy Revolution Integration Service provide a lot of the basis for the support that the lesson will have to give to local industry. And the Energy Systems Catapult and ETP have been working together for some time. As you know, I'm part sponsored by the Energy Systems Catapult, so we already have a joined up support for energy systems within Scotland. And we are working with the local energy systems stakeholder group to provide an input into how we take forward the local energy systems catapult. How we take forward the lesson. And also the wider local energy system sector, which you represent. We are also getting input from other organisations that are not currently within the local energy system stakeholder group. So why have the local energy systems Scottish Industry Network? I mentioned before the new local energy systems policy statement. But there are other areas, other initiatives which are going forth, like such as the Energy White Paper from BEIS, the Climate Change Committee setting up the Conference of the Parties at the end of this year, hopefully, fingers crossed. And there are lots of other policy documents and strategies out, such as the Scottish Energy Strategy and Consumer Energy Action Plan and hydrogen policy statements and hydrogen action plan and so on. So there is a lot of activity, but we're looking to have something that can join all of this up together. So we're looking at the wider context, we're looking at strategic actions and policies to set a framework for activity. I want to learn from success of other clusters that are out there and activities that have already happened. And we're distilling this all into one supported, facilitated network. So with the network to provide a step towards further opportunities, both within Scotland, UK-wide, internationally, and we're looking to make referrals and brokerage for the lesson members to meet with others or to find funding or to find the opportunities within local energy systems. So the network that is being supported, the industry network, is based in Scotland, so Scottish industry and Scottish partners, but the view or the vision is for Scotland and beyond. So what Lesson is here to do is, first of all, we wish to raise awareness of Scottish local energy systems capabilities. And then to develop the local energy systems network in Scotland. So some organisations don't actually realise the value of their products or processes or services that they have to a local energy system. So any organisation that has some link with energy will be part of, will play a role in the local energy system. But there are other areas, other organisations, perhaps in digital services or data platforms that may not be working already in the energy sector, and could have a significant role in facilitating a more connected or integrated energy system. So we also want to encourage industry to innovate further. There's specific support for SMEs, which we provided before. So the Energy Systems Catapult provides specific support, ETP does, and a lot of our partners do. So we want to identify what the businesses need and help support them develop their business and to collaborate with others and find funding or R&D opportunities, or basically collaborate or meet up with other industry bodies or organizations who face similar challenges or would like to pool their resources to tackle particular issues, for example. So a part of what we're trying to do is help build Scottish Local Energy Systems Consortium. So identify project areas, projects that may already exist, can go forward, build on them, or develop new projects to tackle specific challenges. So we're hoping that the whole network will help identify what these challenges are and what the opportunities are to overcome these challenges. And part of this is having the discussion with people like yourselves and other public sector bodies and academia to understand that and make sure that we're as much as possible raising the level of understanding and the ability to move forward for all of the participants. So the lesson will deliver a facilitated online network collaboration platform, which Jim will speak about. We'll have a program of events or webinars, workshops, cluster building activities, consortia building activities. We'll provide direct support to members of the network, especially SMEs, but industry as a whole will benefit, and identify sort of themes or deepen understanding of the challenges in delivering local energy systems projects. We'll support the development of consortiums for demonstration of commercially viable local energy systems projects. There are a lot of projects already grant funded or demonstrators, but we're trying to develop some that be more sustainable and can stand on their own 2 feet. So more sort of flagship projects, both within Scotland and beyond, but with Scottish participants. The platform and portal will provide a sort of a knowledge repository, documents and tools and case studies and good lessons learned and things like that. We're hoping that everybody will help populate this knowledge repository, but we already have quite a lot of information within the Catapult to share. And key out of all of that is building the relationships between those who can support and those who are looking for help. So identifying what that help is and identifying who can support them. So as I said, there's different tiers or levels of the network who's targeted at, the core members who are the industry members, SMEs, larger industry and wider industry that has some role but is not core focus on energy. There'll be interaction between policy groups and the public sector to support that. And then there'll be organizations or bodies that have places that have local energy systems within that and want to develop them. So it could be local authority estates, or investment community can also support that in terms of project development and match funding for consortia. And SMEs who are not currently in local energy systems sector, but could have a role within that. So helping us to identify that, we hope the network can help to do that. So how will members benefit? So we've mentioned a lot of benefits, but this is the summary. So share learning and help others, make connections, access supporting information, understand the impact of future changes, help people understand them, and make activities future-proofed. Access direct business development support and share industry challenges and gain insights on perhaps on what needs to be future-proofed or what the challenges that coming up might be. So how can we help all each other? We'll discuss this a little bit further at the end of the session, but mainly it's raising awareness at this stage because we're at the start of the process, sharing experiences and projects, developing the network. Again, everybody has their own network, so it's networks of networks to sharing information. Helping coordinate the support for members who have expertise or experience. So if you can offer something to somebody, let us know, and we'll try and make sure that that's visible or available, and refer or companies to whoever can support. And then developing the consortium. So engage with us to develop opportunities and create consortia. The consortia will be leading themselves, whoever's leading that consortia, but we're helping to facilitate putting the right people together. So timescales and timelines. We're we had a soft launch with the local energy systems stakeholder group in December, and we've had discussions since then with various organisations. But again, we're still building up this understanding of what the current local energy systems landscape and stakeholders and who they are. So this is the awareness building stage. We are accepting a sort of emails of expressions of interest to be part of membership and registration for our main launch, which will be in February on the 17th, February 17th at 9:30. So that's a date for your diary. And then we'll start a program of activities and engagement and events and so on, which will be in early May. And these will be to support network building and support for individual organizations, but also to identify key challenges and opportunities and develop consortia or challenge focus groups. So as these themes or waves of close, we'll start another one. So there'll be generally different topics or core topics within each of these waves, which we think are important. And again, your views on that, we'll discuss that further on today. But we wanted to ensure that bit by bit, we're building up the capability and understanding of the whole sector through focused themes or activities. So again, how can you help with all of that? Let people know about it, publish articles along your channels and websites and so on. Sign up to our newsletters and or your industry bodies or groups web pages and newsletters, so that you can get the information as we put it out, and help us engage with the wider sector. So we will be passing on people's views and challenges and highlighting obstacles. Scottish Enterprise and Hards Lands Enterprise, a sort of a bridge between the funders and key wider segments to get momentum going and to create greater impact. So I mentioned earlier the wider or the bigger picture. We'll try and make sure that we're feeding in to funders and kind of the priorities, and that might help shape how funding is allocated in the future and where how projects might be funded. So if there are no questions just now, we'll move on to Jim, but I'll just pause there for people to digest that. I did gallop through that. So let me know if you've got any questions, and I'll be happy to answer those.
Shall I step in?
Yep.
Brilliant, please.
Pause. So Jim is going to provide you a bit more detail on the things that I mentioned, okay?
So that was quite a gallop through the sort of aims and activities that Lesson's going to sort of build around. Ultimately, the network will serve its members. So everything we're putting up here is our starter for 10 to some degree. We have a small amount, we have a couple of years to build something of significance. So really what we want is your and the industry's engagement with this to make this what it needs to be to deliver, this kind of network within Scotland and wider. The presentations will be shared at the end. So a lot of this information, if it's gone a bit quickly, you can pick it up. Also, either the lesson mailbox, which will come up at the end, or Natasha are available to discuss this in, one-to-one. If sort of you want more information. Over the next couple of months, there'll be more information coming out. So it will build, and we will build sort of the sort of maturity of that information as well as we get feedback on what's been understood, what hasn't. So, this is our starter for 10. So please engage with us and tell us what you think. I'm going to talk about a couple of things now. I'm going to talk about, first of all, the launch pad, which I mentioned earlier, has a portal associated with it. And it's what we're going to use as our primary sort of piece of technology, if you like, to sort of register, host and collaborate with people. Obviously, the network is about people talking to each other and about people sharing information and knowledge. But what we'd like to provide is sort of a central location for that, if you like. In more physical times, maybe towards the second year, we will have physical events. But ultimately, for the moment, we're going to have to be virtual, and a lot of this will come through the launch pad. Now, the Launchpad itself essentially is a portal you can register in and log in. Anybody who wants to be part of the network will need to go through registering onto this portal, because it basically allows us to manage the member lists and the contact details. You'll get a few questions about sort of who you are, what your business is, what you're trying to get out of it, so we can start getting some information about that. And all of those sort of consents about sharing that information will be included in that sign-up process. There will be some materials on there. We're going to try and seed the Launchpad with some relevant materials to start with. So whether that's linking out to other places or some reports that the Catapult's done or anything that's from the industry that we've gathered. There'll also be collaboration spaces. So there'll be places to have conversations with groups of people. We will be doing webinars and things like that as well, but there will be collaboration spaces where you can go back in and out and sort of talk with the same group. The Launchpad itself, as part of the Catapult offering, is that we have international market information on there. So there are some useful resources already on the portal, just as part of the whole portal, which also serves other programs. It doesn't just serve this program. So we're trying to get a commonality of platforms so that we can learn from the experiences of other collaborations. There's also an investor piece on there as well about getting investors tied up to projects. And obviously, as part of Lesson, we'll want to lever that. So we want to make sure that people, consortia are talking to the right kind of investors for the right kind of project they've got. Also, an intrinsic part of this is referral out to other support services. So Natasha mentioned it earlier, where there are so many people in this industry with things they can offer to clusters and consortia. And so what we'd like to do is make sure those referral spaces are available. So people can, brokerage is available, referral spaces are available. If you think you've got a tool or a demonstrator or a living lab or even just some knowledge that you want to share, we'd like to make that sort of that available so people can refer back to you, so that we can start creating those connections between what people need and what people have got. Next slide, please. And the platform itself will help us do that. Very quick scoop through what that means. Essentially, we'll send out a registration to anybody who wants to be a member. It's going to be early Feb. You sign up. When you signed up, you can access all of the content that's already on there. In signing up, you will agree to varying terms of references and give some consents. And once you're in there, there will be a number of functionalities. This is one of the things we want to talk to you about later, is what do we need to see early on? What's the real priorities we need? But there's obviously going to be some information on there, coffee lounge type chat. There'll be presentation rooms, theatre rooms. You might be able to host your own webinars, etc. The Launchpad itself is new to us, and we'll develop its functionality alongside us, along with other programs. So if there's a functionality it doesn't have that's identified, we can start working towards providing that functionality. Also, of course, the referrals will be on there, and so the referrals directory will be on there, and we'll start building that as we get more information. Next slide, please. So once you're in, apparently you see a beehive. Hexagons are the order of the day at the moment. I'm a big fan of hexagons. I think they're quite striking. They seem to be the way where everything's being presented at the moment, but I like hexagons. So this is kind of a slide just to solidify what happens inside that area. One of the things we will be able to do is provide sort of bespoke areas or focus rooms, as we're currently calling them. The name is open to evolution. And some of the ones we think are important currently, and this is one of the things we'd like to discuss with you sort of further in the second half of this event, what should those focus rooms be working around? We are definitely going to have focus rooms around our themes, which I will talk about in a moment. But ultimately, these four that are sideways, I apologize for everyone having to turn their head, around project leaders and instigators. Who's developing projects? Who are those groups of people that are actually getting projects going on the ground? They could be local authorities. They might be commercial organizations. There may be consortia that already exist that are trying to get other things going. Who are those? Getting those people in rooms together and getting a group of those could be really powerful. Obviously, everyone's looking for innovation support, investment funding. So it seems a no-brainer to sort of have focus around that, where people can start discussing those things and make links. Facilities and demonstrators are a really important piece as well, because obviously as we build what local energy systems are and how they're going to evolve, we need to test our assumptions. And there's a lot of facilities available in Scotland. for demonstrating, testing all sorts of assumptions. So how can we make sure that those groups are talking to each other to make sure that we're getting the right scales that we need, that the right assumptions are being tested, that we're not duplicating activity where we don't need to, and that that knowledge is being shared also. And obviously, the fourth one we've got there is a place-based sort of group. And obviously, as part of the policy statement that was mentioned earlier, place is a really key one. What do we mean by place? Obviously, in this case, local authorities, maybe public estates, maybe campuses, but things where energy systems are very, very geographically constrained and defined. Obviously, in Scotland, in the Highlands and Islands, there's some very good examples. And I bring back to the Reflex project, where the place is very clearly defined because it's an island, but it still has interaction with the rest of the system. So how can we define that place and start working towards grouping around that? So this is kind of a bit of an overview of what the Launchpad platform will do for LESIN. As I say, these are things that will be available through other Catapult calls as well, but we're leveraging this for LESIN because we believe it's a really good platform to have this kind of collaboration based around. There'll always be a home for the conversations we're having. Next slide, please. I'll just pause for a moment if there's any hands up or questions. Happy to take questions in the chat or answer hands directly. As I say, a lot of this information will be available afterwards. So don't be shy now. Get your question out there. I've got Savas, is that question there? I'm trying to unmute.
Sorry, Savas, can you hear me?
Savas, sorry, I can.
I'm not sure. So can you confirm that you can hear me?
Can hear you, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry. So I was wondering if the format could also support any sandpit type of events, where usually it does start off with the same sort of brainstorming session, but in the end, there is also an immediate small amount of funding that, through a sort of panel process will give, immediate funding to some small demonstrators and collaboration out of that event. Is that something that you would consider, or is this already, the structure is firm? So
the structure is our starter for 10, so the structure isn't firm. I mean, I think the sort of things you're talking about are very much what we do through calls. And so, yes, if that, I think when I talk about themes in a minute, I think this may answer your question a little bit. Let me just try and preempt that a touch. The way we're planning to do a number of cycles of this within our time. And within those cycles, we'll provide a certain set of functionality tools and sort of outputs, if you like, to make it a sort of bit clinical. But some of those could be access to further funding. The project, the program itself can't provide that funding, but if we can identify funding that allows consortia or clusters or brainstorm events to then gain it, absolutely, that's an absolute win for us if that happens. So Natasha may want to add something extra on that.
Yeah, so if you think about the way in which Energy Systems Catapult and ETP are trying to set that up is to try and facilitate access to whatever support is needed by any party. The people who provide that support could be ETP or Energy Systems Catapult, but could be a number of other people. And I mentioned before about the funding landscape. There is funding that is not quite allocated, or funding that's going through reviews, and funding organisations which are changing their shape or focus and priorities. What the Scottish Government and Scottish Enterprise and Highlands Islands Enterprise are thinking is that as we build up momentum and build up the scale of membership, so a weight of opinion and what key challenges and opportunities might be, then this can help shape funding. And the way in which that funding might need to be provided, again, could be shaped by what are the barriers to development of particular or overcoming particular challenges. And so if a sandpit might be a better way to deal with something, then maybe there's an opportunity to do something along those lines in the future. There are already sort of sandpits provided by various organizations. I think Ofgem also has a sandpit that they provide, which provides derogations to the rules and regulations, so you can have like a playpen to develop projects or business ideas. So sandpits are already available, but what we're hoping is that by doing this process of identifying challenges and getting the weight of opinion to what these opportunities might be, this will help identify funding which targets these areas that are needed. So the funding might not be identified or agreed yet, but eyes are on the network's activities and consensus or weights of opinion to try and help shape that in the future. So the more participants who are getting involved and speaking up about what is needed and where the opportunity should be or what the biggest barriers are, then the more we'll have that weight of opinion to help lever funding and to shape policy and implementation processes.
So I hope that covers your question off. I think it's a really important question, actually, because hopefully I can start to answer this in the next slide. So one of the things I'd like to talk about briefly now is how are we structuring the next few months, essentially? How are we going to structure the rhythm within this network building? So next slide, please, Natasha. So the word we've used is wave. Essentially, we're looking at a kind of, we're going to choose some themes, or at least we're going to develop some themes alongside both the members and before we start for the first one, stakeholders such as yourselves. Where are we best placed looking for easy wins, or what's the hard stuff? What should we be looking at? But we want to focus this in 3 or 4 themed waves, which are maybe 5 to 6 months long. And within that themed wave, we will sort of focus down on a particular set of challenges. So we split the theme into 2 halves, whereby the first half is really about challenge discovery, so we're getting together and brainstorming and workshopping where the real pinch points are, and then trying to define what a solution to that might be, or what the ask is to break through that challenge. So at the end of the challenge, there will definitely be a definition of the things that need to happen. And some of that might be getting extra funding. It could be the kind of information that could absolutely drive extra funding if there's funding available. Obviously, within a theme, the content needs to be based on that theme. This isn't to exclude any other conversations, by the way. This isn't to the mutual exclusiveness of anything else that's going on in the network. But because of our limited resource and limited time, we think it's better to kind of focus on some key areas. There'll be a couple of workshops, there'll be a couple of events. All of the cluster building activity and sort of the one-to-one support will be based around those kind of themes where possible. And the outcomes will either be maybe self-sustaining subgroups. So if there's groups that really want to dig in on something for a while, we'll support with tools and resource to help get that moving. It might be a consortia comes out of it that's ready to respond to a challenge or respond to a funding call. And actually one of the discussions would be interesting to have is, should we be looking at the funding calls and building themes around the funding calls, or should we be doing the opposite and driving the funding calls? The other one is that might come out of this is communities of practice. One of the key areas to sharing knowledge in the kind of complex space that local energy systems hold is that the more people you can get that understand each other's language through either a community of practice or a specialism similar, the more powerful that system can be, the more accelerated that system can be. Because one of the challenges we've found with ERIS, but is the same with any sort of complex system, is that defining and understanding of what you're talking about is a really important part of trying to solve the problem. So hopefully there'll be some communities of practice that naturally fall out of this, and obviously we can support with the setup of those. So really that's how we're trying to contain what could be vast. We appreciate that everyone will have their own idea of what the challenges are, but really we want to filter down on, for each one, maybe 1 or 2 real deep themes that we can really go deep on, gather the knowledge around, put that knowledge available, gather the knowledge leaders around, and have some brainstorming sessions to unpick that. And hopefully, some of you guys will want to be involved in those as well. There's a lot of knowledge, in this virtual room as well as in Scotland. Next slide, please.
Just before I next, I can just point out one thing, just to say there will be the general information about energy systems already available, and that will be sort of like an underpinning for all the ways, but there'll be on top of that more specific things, so that people who have no knowledge will be able to get themselves a better understanding of the basics of local energy system. But for those who are already quite far advanced or looking for the next stage of development, then these themes or the focus challenges will help provide that next step.
And obviously one of the legacy of each of the themes will be some sort of knowledge base from the things that have been collected during it, and that will then be available to anybody sort of as we go on. So for me, the two questions I want to ask, and I know we'll get into the depth of this in a little bit, are for the Lesson Network, you know, what are the major challenges for the Scottish local energy sector? You know, and it is challenges to commercialisation and growth. It's not necessarily technical challenges, although there probably are some, but really what we're looking for now is to accelerate. So we're looking for how we can scale, how we can replicate, how we can embed these things in the daily existence of the energy system, rather than being innovation. How do we move them from innovation to everyday? So how can we do that? And what are the challenges to that? And from our experience, there are some policy challenges. You know, there are some technical challenges. You know, things around interoperability and consumer uptake, digitization, the availability of data. They're all blockers. But what are the ones that the Scotland's particularly are singing? Because, you know, we have an opportunity here to really understand the Scottish sort of experience. My second question is sort of the flip side of that is, okay, there are challenges that everyone across the world who's looking at local energy systems will be, but what is the expertise in Scotland best place to explore? So where can we use the expertise that exists within this network to best, to do the best? Because there'll be a lot of people looking at digitisation. Is there specific aspects of that the Scottish energy system industry is best placed to address? And I think there are a couple of really key questions that we should keep in our mind as we go through sort of further discussions, because they're the ones that will really unlock the value as opposed to just duplicating where other people are doing work. We have a lot of ideas as a Catapult about how to structure things. We don't want to, you know, the structure has to be one that works for the network itself. You know, we could look at a solution space type structure, which, you know, we call aspects of integration, but it's a way of building through your solution and checking that your solution is robust, that it's a solution that will work in the real world. That's one possible way of structuring themes. Another possible way is through topologies. Do we want to look at different types of Scottish community, of Scottish geography? Is that an interesting and sensible way of looking at local energy systems, or do they, you know, do the energy systems respond to that kind of topology? I think there's another slide that pushes at something else as well. Next slide. We could choose technology. I don't think there's any lack of technological expertise, so we could look at specific technologies and how they fit together. I mean, or we could go wider. You know, there's a real possibility here to look at some of those wider challenges that unlock a lot of other things. So, you know, the challenges around responding to local needs. You've got, you know, LHE's the local heat and energy efficiency strategy has, you know, is there. How do we respond to that as an industry? How do we make sure we can deliver the outcomes of that? We've got local area energy planning that is in the mix as well. So local areas are having to come up with what the energy future may look like for them. How do we build an industry that can respond to that? Digitization, massive question at the moment in how can the energy industry, well, both adapt what we currently do, but also prepare for what is a revolution that's happening in how we manage, structure, and understand systems that we're working in. The energy system itself will become more digitalized, and in fact is already becoming more digitalized. What does that mean? What does that mean for the type of industries we have? And the other one that you know, we think is really important is consumer engagement and protection. It's all great having the fanciest local energy system in the world. If no one wants it and no one will engage with it or buy products off it, then it isn't useful. So how do we make sure that people want it? And how do we make sure that people get what they asked for? So how do we make sure that if we are controlling people's heat, batteries, car charging, that people aren't coming out with their car battery flat or their house is cold? How do we build protection by design into that consumer engagement? Next slide, please. So really this is around themes, is how you can help it work with us to develop priorities. When we've got the network up and running, please share your content and knowledge. Please be generous with your time and artifacts and knowledge that you know, both tacit inside your head and explicit knowledge that your organization may have. And also support the wave. So, you know, where you have an expertise, please mentor others through to build that expertise themselves or share expertise. This is such a nascent industry that we can explode and everybody gets to, you know, a higher place. Thank you. So I think for the second half, we want to have a little bit of a Q&A / workshop / chatbot moment to try and understand, out of all of that, what should we be focusing on? So really the two areas I think we want to talk about, Natasha will take over in a second, I'll just summarize where we're at, is, you know, what do we want to see in terms of grouping, in terms of clustering? How do we want to self-organize ourselves to address some of these things? And also, you know, what themes should we be looking at? What should our first theme be? So when we have a launch event at the 1st of May and we unveil behind the velvet curtain, here's theme number 1, what's on that board? What does it say? What are we going to look at? And what's the important one that we should be looking at? They're the two questions, I think, for further on. Natasha, I'll hand over.
Yeah, so just pause there just in case there are any questions to clarify what Jim has just talked through. So there's quite a lot that's been covered there, the platform itself, and also about the theme. So I don't expect everyone to really get to have grasped all of that completely. So are there any questions that are for clarification, or do we start asking you questions to you to respond to? I'll give you a moment to think about that. Please put questions in the chat, but you can also raise your hand.
It's all gone off for a cup of tea, I think, Natasha. That's what's happened here.
So it is the afternoon. It's that post-lunch slump, isn't it? So I'd like to ask a question. Jim's got, both Jim and I've got loads of questions for people, but we're going to break up this discussion session into two areas. One is looking at the innovation challenge themes. The other thing is how we work together and how we collaborate, and that's partly through the portal and partly getting the right organizations together and who and what. So the first thing I want to ask is, can you just put a show of hands if you feel that this network is something you would like to be a part of? It's just on the most basic level. Does this look like something that you think will be useful and you'd like to be a part of? So just put your hands up. It's open to everybody. And some people will be supported in different ways, and other people will be part of the community, and other people will be providing support. So I can't see many hands of that. So one of my colleagues might be able to tell me how many hands have come up. It's a fair few as I'm scrolling down. I'm hoping that everybody knows how to raise their hands, because it's not always easy to find the right button.
We're not quite yet at a majority. I'm not sure we've convinced everyone yet, Natasha.
Some people might be eating their lunch and not have a hand free. Thanks for raising your hands. Could you lower your hands? How many of you can provide support? Who are support providers? So I just want to see what the kind of people that we have on the call. We know who registered, but we're not quite sure who actually turned up, because I see your names but not the organization. So who can provide support in some shape or form?
I'm assuming the hands that are still up are providing support.
Yes. So, okay, great. We have supporters, we have people interested. And could you lower your hands again? Could you tell us, just raising your hands, who needs support? Who's on this call, the workshop, who actually needs to be supported, who's got an issue that needs addressing, or would like to develop or would like to become more involved? So who needs support in some shape or form? Okay, we have somebody who wants support. So it looks, I can only see one hand of an organization, Alistair, who needs support, but so we have quite a lot of people who can provide support and a lot of people who want to be part of this, and not so many of the people who need support. But again, identifying people who need support is part of this process. The next few months we'll be gradually identifying more and more organizations who need support. We have quite a long list from Scottish enterprise companies, so we'll be inviting organizations to get involved and asking you to share that. So I think on the whole we have interest, we have supporters for people who need support. Then we'll go into the challenge themes. We've got some questions here. What are the local energy systems innovation challenges? What is being explored in Scotland? What are the priority areas to work on? This is touches on the themes that Jim was talking about, and also what sort of opportunities there might be, and what support is needed in terms of cluster and consortia building. So what kind of support don't you have? What would be helpful? And maybe it's just visibility, maybe it's just understanding who are the right organizations to work with. So if you just think about those for a couple of minutes and write some of your ideas down in the chat, or raise a hand if you'd like to make a point or raise a point. But just give you a moment to just think about that. But please put it in the chat, because we will get back to people or tackle issues or include in our consultation that goes out wider those sorts of issues that you raise. So if it's there, we can save the chat and we can put that out to other people if you're raising a good question or something that we need to make sure that we're taking into account.
Does everyone know how to access the chat is a good question. So down the bottom of your screen, there is a bubble that says chat. If you open that, you do end up with a chat pane. So those of you that may not be able to do that, maybe that's why, yeah, let's, that'd be good.
And while you think about that, just Brian Cross, ETP project manager, mentioned that ETP knowledge exchange funding is open now, always open. So you just need to talk to us. If you're looking for funding or support, ask for us. The Energy Systems Catapult has specific calls for support, but once this network is up and running, then the support will be offered to organizations who match the support that can be given. If not, we'll look for other organizations that can support that. Okay, so what support is needed? So, oh, here we go. Scotland is quite uniquely placed in terms of energy characteristics. Is there a primary focus on Scotland-centric solutions, or more generic paradigms more well? So I can answer to this, but Jim may also want to add. So we're looking to develop a network within Scotland with Scottish industry and Scottish participants and partners, but we're not looking at local energy systems only within Scotland. So Jim mentioned the Topologies of Scotland. That's a study that the Scottish Enterprise did on trying to categorise what Scotland's strengths are and where we can focus our expertise to benefit sort of internationalisation and commercialisation focus for Scotland. But local energy systems or energy systems projects opportunities are worldwide, and we're looking to support worldwide projects and initiatives. We just also would like some in Scotland as well, so developing consortia or projects in Scotland, but looking for international opportunities as well and collaborations.
So just to add to that, I think Natasha covered that quite, very well. But really, when we think about what we're trying to achieve with this, it is an acceleration of industry in Scotland and local energy systems. So some of those very much might be implementing them in Scotland, especially where the topologies are particularly unique. But bearing in mind where there's topologies that are unique, there will be other places around the world, for example, where those topologies are similar. So the solutions that are being generated there will be looking wider. But also it may be that, Scottish industry is well placed to solve a problem that all energy systems are dealing with. So, the example I gave earlier is maybe in digitalisation. Are there a particular set of businesses in Scotland that are well placed to take on the challenge and actually be a world leader in both implementing it locally, but also wider? So really the outcome isn't a better local energy system in Scotland. The outcome is better local energy systems everywhere, but with Scotland leading both in implementation in Scotland and wider. If that makes sense.
Scotland is doing pretty well, so that's why there's quite a lot of focus from Scottish Government and the enterprise agency to try and help that along, because it looks as if local energy systems expertise is one of the strengths for Scotland. Obviously, Scotland has other strengths, and other areas have also expertise. So we're wanting to join that up. That could be, multi-region or multi-member state collaborations to share and to help build expertise. But because Scotland is very proud on its local energy systems activity so far, this is why there's a strong focus on it, and the energy strategy has adopted the whole systems approach to energy systems, so multi-vector whole systems approach to energy systems, which Energy System Catapult is also working to develop across the UK and beyond. So thanks, Savas Papadopoulos from Napier University for the question. I hope that's answered it. If not, please put another question in. We have another question from David Amos. David, I think you were part of another session we were on, if I'm not incorrect. So David mentions the island's growth deal involving Orkney, Shetland, and the Outer Hebrides. And David says that it has a strong focus on local energy systems with the proposed creation of the Island Centre for Net Zero, which is being hosted in Orkney. And this could create a structure to support local energy systems in an island context. David, would you like to unmute yourself and just explain a little bit further if you can? Are you there, David?
Oh, I think that's me unmuted now. Thanks. Yes, no, happy just to give a little bit more background for that. For those on the call, I'm David Amos. I'm the Programme Director for the Islands Growth Deal, so working with Orkney, Shetland and Western Isles councils and the university and business partners to develop the Islands Growth Deal. But probably the most important aspect of the overall Islands deal is the support for a range of low carbon initiatives, which are to support, really build on actually some of the activity that's already been taking place in the islands particularly with Orkney, which is a sort of international leader across a range of low carbon technologies. But we have a proposal to create an Island Centre for Net Zero, which brings together a range of academic research and business partners, and with the sort of focus on supporting islands move towards net zero carbon over a period of time. And in the mix of the activity that they'll be looking at will very much be looking and supporting and developing local energy systems, within an island context. So that will hopefully benefit from quite substantial funding from both Scottish and UK government. So we think that could be a really strong platform going forward to support initiatives across the three islands, which have application and replicability elsewhere. So the growth deals are for 10 years, so there could be a structure there that could provide quite an asset to support activity, particularly that's focused on island communities, from a topological perspective. So I can see how that could well, play a role in supporting, what the work that you're proposing over the next few years. We should know for definite that proposal is getting funded within the next couple of months. We're expecting to get to heads of terms with both governments by March of this year, so it should be agreed, shortly.
David, that sounds fantastic. I'm sure Jim will have some comments as well. But my first thoughts, could you just remind me who the partners are? Sorry, can you unmute?
Thanks again, Tash. Sorry, I seem to be unable to unmute myself. So
that's all right. Don't worry.
So the Islands Growth Deal, the partners are Orkney Islands Council, Shetland Islands Council, the Western Isles Council, and then we have academic partners, the University of the Highlands and Islands, Heriot Watt University, and Robert Gordon's University. And specifically in relation to the Island Centre for Net Zero Carbon, it's the European Marine Energy Centre based in Orkney that is acting as the project lead for that proposal and is one of the key partners as well. And then a range of business organisations and representative organisations, so covering both sort of low carbon as well as a host of other key industry areas for the island. So quite a mix of public and private academic sector. Highlands and Islands Enterprise, obviously a key partner across a whole range of the proposals.
This sounds obviously a lovely initiative, and I hope that you get to the heads of terms signing off as soon as possible. But I know other growth deals the process is quite long-winded, so I'm hoping that this comes out fruitfully and speedily for you.
We've been at it for 3 years, so getting the heads of terms in the next couple of months will be a real
I've heard a lot of frustration from different growth deals. So yes, wonderful thing happening. And obviously what the network is trying to do is trying to make visible these opportunities and help join up other initiatives which could be beneficial. So at some stage when we're creating these sort of focus rooms, particularly, you know, project leaders or place-based initiatives, your initiative or the Centre for Net Zero could have a spot there, so you'd be providing information to us and explaining how people can get involved and maybe a particular challenge that you might want to lead, for example. So just sort of thinking about what your wish list is and how we can integrate that into our process, but also whatever activities you have, we could try and align them with the activities that we are undertaking for lesson network themes. So if there's a particular theme that touches on something that you are focusing on at one stage or part of the project, then we want to highlight that within the themes, for example. So everybody has an opportunity to bring forward the expertise or the lessons learned or the current live projects, the opportunities for particular themes through those activities within the waves. We just need to work out a way to harmonize that, okay?
So just to comment on a couple of things through that. I think everything, Natasha's covered most of it. I just wanted to point out that we have a launch event on the 17th of February, which is very close.
Yes.
Now that I say it out loud. And you know, the reason we're talking about this before is partly to drum up support for the launch event, but also, you know, these conversations need to be ongoing. The conversations we're trying to start here, and appreciate, you know, that we have better tools to have these conversations these days. We have sort of online workshopy type tools and things that we'll bring into play as we go, where we can start really brainstorming and gathering these ideas. They're going to be constant throughout the program because we're going to need to steer the program and make sure we know where to go. The members themselves will have something, but also the wider community, of which some of you may be on both sides of that boundary, will want to steer where this goes to make this really powerful. So these discussions are really helpful. Yeah, that was all I wanted to say, really, was just put that date out there. I just wanted to go to another question on the list. John Stinson. I think I'm probably well placed to answer the first question. I think Natasha's probably best placed to answer the second question. So the first question is, are you looking only for technology manufacturers, suppliers, installers, hardware developers? We're sustainability consultants, and we think our experience in life cycle assessment will provide help support. We are, yes, absolutely, because we understand that local energy systems are a very complex thing, and there are an awful lot of pieces of it, and there are an awful lot of people who may not even be working in the energy sector now who have pieces of that puzzle. So your work in life cycle assessment, I suspect, is vital to making sure these are appropriate, that they you know, actually deliver the sort of outcomes that they're supposed to deliver, that the products being used are appropriate, and all of those kind of things. So which part of life cycle assessment I'm not sure you're referring to there, but there's obviously a number of levels of that. But yes, absolutely. So we would consider you kind of supporting people who can provide support, but also as members of the network yourself, you're part of Scottish industry delivering these. So absolutely sign up, get involved. And as we evolve the network, you know, hopefully you find a place that you're comfortable with what you know and what you can share, and that will work. So absolutely, we're looking for you to join up as well. So hopefully, John, I'll see you on the 17th at the launch event, and we'll register.
Part of potential consortia or groups are working towards a collaboration as well. So there are roles for everyone. The widest definition of energy systems and community and local is what we're looking at. So it is very wide, it is very open, but what we're trying to do is create a framework and a process to facilitate collaboration and help shape I suppose the process for taking opportunities forward. So yes, and in terms of your second question, John, will this forum overlap with the ETP's energy and buildings themes? So I'm sort of the lesson interim lesson collaboration coordinator for this. We're recruiting for someone to take on the role full time right now. So the deadline is 18th, 17th, 18th Sunday next weekend. So the job ad is on our webpage, if in case you don't know, and also on the Energy Systems webpage. But somebody could, if you could put the link in the chat, somebody, that would be great. So what we are looking to do is ETP is, as a whole, is supporting this collaboration. So I'm leading in terms of energy systems because that's my theme. But energy efficiency in buildings, wave, marine energy, heat energy, they're all part of the energy system. I don't necessarily deal within my ETP theme with specific technologies, but my colleagues do. So all industry relevant to energy is relevant to local energy systems network, and all of the business development managers are here to support whatever businesses need or whatever partnerships need to be set up with academia or other industry to move forward that particular business. So if it's a heat energy business or energy efficiency or a business, whatever the category is, it's still relevant to an integrated energy system and a network. Thank you, Jim. So the link there to the recruitment is there as well. Okay, so open to everybody, and we're all working together as a team. And if we can't support you, we'll try and find another organisation or innovation support body to help. Okay. Do we have any?
So I think the next question is probably you, Natasha, regarding Phil B or Philby. Looking for funding with regards to CCS and injection. I think this is probably something you'd be able to help with, ETP.
So I'm just trying to find that comment. Where is it?
Scroll down. So I'll read it out to you. So, it's come to me privately. Sorry. So
if you can share it again to everyone, that would be great.
I will do. As long as well, Phil, are you comfortable with me sharing it? Did you mean to do it privately, or are you looking for? Would you like me to share it? I won't share it until I'll generalize it until Phil sort of
yeah, you just click on the box and the to box. It says you've got a drop down box, so whether it's to everyone or to somebody privately.
If it was to me directly, that will keep it private for now. Okay, share. Okay, so I'll read it out. I'll copy it back in again and then read it out. Just wanted to make sure everyone's comfortable with what they're sharing. Thank you, Phil. Hopefully that's come through. So. Oh, I've just done it to Phil back again. Hang on. I can see why this happens. Let me just put that public. There we go. Try that now. So as an SME, we're looking for funding with regards to CCS, transportation and injection issues that have not been studied. Remains a huge uncertainty, no doubt there. The technology we have requires further upgrades as its primary function is for offshore use. We now want to use this in the new energy cycle for both CCS and hydrogen. How will ETP be able to assist? Regards, Phil.
Oh, so interesting question. And it's something we actually had a discussion on in our team meeting last week. Brian Cross and Stephen Mark Williams, our exec director, and our project director from ETP. We're talking about opportunities for hydrogen, CCS, and how ETP can support that. We don't actually have a hydrogen theme that is sort of funded. We don't have a funding stream for CCS and hydrogen that's specific in our area, but they do fall under a number of our categories. So if you are looking for some sort of project, whether it's a small sort of scoping or feasibility or something like the options appraisal type thing, ETP may be able to help. The funding goes to the academic expert or team, and the company gets the development of its business or process, the benefit of the academic expertise. So we can help. So you can contact us for that. As a whole, we'll look. So Brian has just got into a hot press. We're creating a hydrogen project stream now. So there have been discussions and debates on that. So what we're going to try and do is focus on any projects relevant to hydrogen, and we'll see how we'll fund them. And if we can't fund them, we'll look to other opportunities for funding and try and take those forward. What's important to note is that there is now a hydrogen policy statement for the Scottish Government. There was the Hydrogen Innovation Network, I think it was called, or Acceleration Network, KTN seminar this morning, which I was listening to. So there's quite a lot of activity. There'll be a hydrogen action plan coming out in the summer from the Scottish Government. So there's a task force, there's a lot of activity happening, and there will be funding coming down the line. So if ETP can't support, then we hope that the other initiatives that are coming through will be able to take forward. Or if we can do the first step, then we're hoping something else will come forward from the next step. I hope that helps. And if somebody can just put the link to our project page, we'll also have my contact details as well. Someone can put the link to the ETP project page. So you can see there where you get support or what the support is like. But again, it's on our slides, and you can contact any of us to directly support on that.
I've just put the link to just the explanation of Lesson on the Catapult website. It's replicated on other websites, other partners, including ETP. Yeah. So just if anybody wants a landing page on the internet to go to, yeah. Obviously that will be updated as and when we have sort of more information and extra links, etc.
Yeah, there's a link that from there, I think, to the job ad as well for
okay.
manager. I think so. Anyway, so I'm just going to double check the time because we've only got a few minutes to go. So I think we've done a lot of discussion on here, and I think we've covered both aspects, how to get involved and ways of working here. Generally, we didn't really separate out with our discussions. So this is an ongoing dialogue. As Jim mentioned, we're starting this conversation. You talk to us anytime. You let us know what your wish list is. You let us know about organizations you think will be interested. But do send us your let's get onto the screen here, our what next screen. So we mentioned already the collaboration coordinator will be engaged over the next couple of months. I'm taking this forward at the moment as an interim collaboration coordinator, but Data Diary, the lesson is full launch is on the 17th of February at 9:30 a.m. So pre-registration expressions of interest, go to lesson@energysystems.catapult.org.uk. It will come to me, it will come to Jim. So that's your one address for all engagement with us. If you want to become a member of Lesson, the registration will open in February 2021. So you can sign up for invitation to that, again, at the same address. Please also sign up to newsletters, because we will be promoting all events and activities, and anybody else who's got events and activities, we will also promote them through our channels as well. So ETP's newsletter and social media promotes any energy activity we think is relevant. So ask us to highlight what you're doing. Sign up to our newsletters. Energy Systems Catapult one, just pop-up box when you go onto the website, and our one's on the front. There's a link from our front web page. And your other industry, your stakeholder groups will probably have information as well. We're working with our partners to promote this. So again, how to get involved. Oh, sorry, I'm rushing forward because I thought we were just finishing at 2, but actually we've got till 2:30, haven't we?
Is it worth a moment to just consider? I'm just
jumping ahead half an hour. Any other questions before we go on to the sort of summary and next steps?
I think something to just point out is that actually, as I say, over the next month or so, we will be consulting sort of wider. So we will be getting in touch with people and having sessions where there's an opportunity to put post-it notes on a page, for example. So if you have thoughts at the end of this about where we should be focusing, please let us know through the email or talk to Natasha or myself directly, because it'll all go in the big box, and we'll start trying to unpick where our best point of leverage is. On the 17th, the launch of the 17th, we will be defining at least what our first theme is, or first themes are. So if you do have a particular area that you think we really should start on because it's really vital, then please let us know, because it will affect what we do. If people are a little bit think there's a load of challenges, we think something like digitization is a good place to start, because I think that's an underlying underlying theme and underlying problem that sits under everything we might deliver. But we obviously want to do what's responsive to you guys. So if we don't get any strong opinions either way, we may end up looking at digitization. So please, if you have strong opinions, or even not very strong opinions, or just any opinions of any type, please let us know. Talk to us. Send us emails. Send Natasha a deluge of emails that she can go through. It'd be brilliant. And I can really make sure that we're responding to what you guys need.
Yeah. So Jim mentioned that, just to pause a second about these themes. We have a lot of ideas about themes, and Jim listed quite a few already. And those, obviously, if you look on the Energy Systems website, you'll see categories of energy systems activity. So these are quite natural themes. All of the innovation support platform calls, the energy launchpad calls, again, are themes. So digital platforms and data servers and digital platforms call is applicable to quite a lot of organizations, because pretty much every organization that deals in energy will have to work in a digital world. The energy system is being digitalized, and it will have to be future-proofed. You need interoperability, security, all of these elements that you need to think about, and flexibility. So that's something that we think is quite a good one, which will cover most organizations. So that might be a strong contender for the first theme wave. But also for the first theme wave, we want to have the general overview of local energy systems and what it means when we're talking about place-based or local energy systems. So the basics we should be covering anyway, but we want to sort of start off on one of the themes, even if we just do sort of like the Dummy's Guide to Data and digitalization of the energy system, and we go into it in greater depth, or a deeper dive, as Jim was mentioning, later on. So that could be one area, but there are other areas that we can look into, maybe heat networks, or aspects like that, or Jim, you might be able to throw a few others into the pot. But it's really for you to think about what you think is important to your business now, or what you think is important to the local energy system sector as a whole.
Yeah, and it is really about supporting the businesses in the network to get what they need. We know the very fact that we call it local energy systems is very indicative of the fact that the local challenge is a big part of this. How do we respond to that local need? That's one of the challenges I put up earlier. There is a lot of local need coming through the pipeline, both through policy and in sort of direction of travel of strategies, etc. So how do we respond to that? Are we well placed as an industry in Scotland to respond to that, or do we need to understand more about consumers, what local means? Do we need to understand local authority processes better? How do we do that best? I mean, that's an area I think is vital, especially when we talk about local sort of energy systems. But it obviously, as I keep reiterating, this is about making sure that we really focus on the areas that this network wants to focus on. A lot of you guys will be part of that network. So, and if you're not, hopefully you'll be supporting. And so opinions, where should we really be putting this effort? We've got a small amount of resource to do a lot of effort. So let's choose the pinch points we can make work. That's my preaching done, I think. Hallelujah.
We've got half an hour. We can just look at a review of how to support, and then we've got some key messages towards the end of this. So again, just put any questions or comments or links that you want in the chat. So we've got here a summary of how to support again. So one, help to establish the network, let people know about Lesson. We've given you the link to the web page. It's also on the summary, it's on the web page for Energy Systems Catapult. We can provide also some information on our events web page. You'll have the presentations as well. And we'll be doing regular updates or invites to events and activities as well. So again, keep us current, publicize this lesson through your channels, and sign up to social media as well. The number of platforms both in Catapult and ATP. Again, make a difference, engage with the wider sector to show impact. We want to broaden this out. Yes, we're in Scotland. Yes, we're focusing the network within Scotland's participants, but how can Scotland's expertise be taken out to the wider sector, not just within energy systems, where is it relevant for other areas, and in wider geographical sense as well. Again, so guide us, help us identify priorities and themes. We will be distilling key information within the platform as well, and we'll be focusing activities in the different waves on the themes we've got. And so activities that you're already doing, we can link to them, or vice versa, link activities that you've done to some of the activities that we are setting up. So again, be generous. Jim mentioned this before, so be generous, share content and knowledge in local energy systems. We are a knowledge community. ETP's role is knowledge exchange. We have the knowledge exchange network for that purpose. We're trying to support two-way or multi-way sharing of knowledge and expertise. We don't want to be replicating anything. Nobody wants to be doing something that's already been done. So key lessons or key case studies, we would like to sort of distill some of those nuggets or pearls of wisdom and make sure that they're collated within each of the themes. So when we close out a theme, we'll have a sort of summary of activity, key learning, key documents, case studies and things like that. So we should be providing sort of templates for providing that information, but again, just flag them up to us that we know what sorts of things we need to be providing templates for, or how we can incorporate them into our activities and into the platform. So again, support the members, bring expertise and mentoring to the partners. Energy systems are only going to work if everybody collaborates. So the more we collaborate and support each other and build up complementary projects and initiatives that are not competing against each other, we want to have a nice suite of activities which are mutually supporting and mutually beneficial, that raise us all up, or the whole energy sector gets developed and improves as a whole. So as much as possible, we'd like people to be talking to each other and developing complementary initiatives rather than competing with each other, and we hope we can provide that environmental structure or a framework to do that in a way that everybody's comfortable with and doesn't take away commercial opportunities for the organizations involved. So some takeaway messages. Just pause there to check that there aren't any more questions, because I've turned off my chat whilst I'm reading. Not that I can see. So some takeaway messages here. So lesson is that the mission or the vision is helping local energy systems sector, the whole sector, flourish through mutual support and collaboration in Scotland. It's a collaborative working framework to harmonise local energy system support. We're looking to raise the impact of local energy systems in Scotland and beyond. We would like to create an local energy systems legacy for Scotland. The enterprise agencies are very keen to promote local energy systems expertise and abilities and initiatives around the world. Sustainable Development, Scottish Development International will also be looking to promote expertise around its centres across the world. So looking for opportunities around the world. So there are channels and processes there where the enterprise agencies will help with internationalisation and identifying opportunities. And also the organisations such as Enterprise Europe Network and the Scottish European Green Energy Centre also help in terms of supporting, putting together consortia and developing bids for European funding and looking for partners as well. So we have processes to do that within all of the innovation support organisations. So just ask, and we hope we can put you in contact with the right people. So that will be a process or a facilitated framework for providing a step towards further opportunities for everyone. So yes, it's industry and developing industry businesses and opportunities, but we're wanting to make sure that the network as a whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Is that the right expression? So we're building up the whole sector to develop and shape opportunities and increase the expertise from Scotland, so that Scotland becomes a leading player in energy systems, integration or local energy systems. So I think we have oops, sorry. I think I got a question at the end there, 1 second.
I can't see another one.
So I'm scrolling down the chat. I think I'm going the wrong way. So there are no more questions. We've just got a contact information slide here. There's one email address. It comes to me, it comes to Jim, and that's lesson@es.catapult.org.uk. And the lesson website is on the Energy Systems Catapult page. ETP will also provide a website as well. We can put further information on events and so on to promote that for those who already used to the ETP website, but the main website will be on the Energy Systems Catapult, and we'll link to that one as well. You can contact me directly if it's ETP support that you're looking for, and a link to the support webpage is already in the chat. I've got my email address and my phone number there. It just all redirects to mobile. Everybody's working from home. So apart from that, remains to say thank you very much from myself and the rest of the ETP team for joining us, and for Jim for participating and providing all his pearls of wisdom. Jim, have you got any parting thoughts?
Get involved!
Yeah, get involved, and also go to Energy Systems Catapult for support as well. We're both organizations are here to help, and all the other catapults all the catapults are friends. So if the Energy Systems Catapult can't help you, then there'll be another catapult or another innovation center which will be able to support as well.
And we look forward to engaging with you more and more as we go on and build the network. So absolutely looking forward to this. I think it's a really exciting opportunity. So
please just send an email to Lesson, just say you're interested. You had a lot of hands that wanted to be involved. Send an email to us and we will invite you to the launch, and we'll invite you to become members when the platform goes live. And David says he's happy to facilitate a connection with the Islands Deals Centre for Net Zero. I think that's it. Has anybody else got anything to close on? I think that's it from us all. Thank you so much. There are other webinar series. I think there's 1 or 2 still to go with this series. But also on Thursday, we have an event, an info brokerage event, which ETP is hosting on behalf of Scottish Enterprise, which is for an ERANET, European Partnership called the digitalization of the energy system. Actually, that's not its proper name, but it's about the digitalization of the energy system. And the call is called Enerdigit. So the expression of interest, which is a simple expression of interest, a basic scope and your partners, is on the 17th of February as well. 17th of February is a hot date for everything, launching of Lesson and also the expression of interest for the Enerdigit call. You'll see on our events page the link for the webinar. It's just 1 hour info brokerage event on Thursday at 11 o'clock with myself, Scottish Enterprise, and again, Energy Systems Catapult, who've written guidance and support on digitalization of the energy system. It won't be Jim this time, it'll be one of Jim's colleagues. And so we'll provide an overview of some of the key challenges for digitalization of the energy system and give an overview of the call and how to get involved. If you don't have partners, there's a process for helping to support, setting up consortia as well, and the networks that I mentioned, the European Energy Network and CEGEC, the Scottish European Green Energy Centre, all support in pulling together collaborations and partners. But what's crucial is that any business or any organisation that would like to be part of a consortium, maybe not led by Scotland, but anywhere across the 23 different regions, there's also a form or a matching portal where you put your details and what service or expertise you have, and you could be snapped up by another consortium to be involved in their digitalisation project. So you need at least 2 or 3 regional partners across Europe, and a couple of international organisations in mission innovation as well involved. So this is a good opportunity to get involved in digitalisation of the energy system project. So if you're interested, join us, but if not, just send, and again, another email to me, and we'll try and put you in touch with the right people. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. The link to the Digit event is in the chat. Bye, everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your time.